Martell has left with no other option than Arrion Curry, and why this situation is leaving fans shook. Stay tuned till the very end, because there are some truths here you don't want to miss. So, let's start with the interview. Martell was asked a simple question. Why does he like Arrion Curry? And you would think after all these years together, after all the time they spent building a relationship, he would have a few sentences ready. But no, he couldn't come up with a single coherent answer. He just stared, looked lost, and even took a sip of wine mid-interview as if that would help him. At one point, all he could muster was, "I like that she's a good mom," and that's it. That's all he could say. Nothing about how she makes him feel, nothing about her personality, nothing about the joy she brings into his life. That right there shows you a lot about the state of this relationship. If a man truly loves a woman, he knows why. He can talk about her qualities, how she makes him feel, and the way she improves his life. But Martell couldn't do that with Arrion, and fans noticed. People watching the interview were shocked because you could see it clearly. He is stuck, unsure, and frankly, shook. This is the same man who used to light up like a Christmas tree talking about Melody Sherry, his ex-wife, and the life they had together. Even after all these years and 4 beautiful children, Martell still has happy memories lighting up his face when he thinks about Melody, and that's the point that really hits hard. Martell seems to be with Arrion Curry, not because of a real emotional connection, but because he has no other option. Some fans feel like she is being used in this relationship, and honestly, when you see him struggle to even say why he likes her, it becomes clear. Arrion's role in Martell's life appears more superficial than anything else. She's gaining notoriety and relevance, which is why she stays, but when it comes to a real, deep connection, it seems like Martell can't provide it. What makes this situation more concerning is how Martell's behavior continues to hurt Melody Sherry and the public perception of him. He's been involved in past controversies, and this interview adds to the long list of questionable choices. Fans have even brought up how he has exposed Melody's personal information in the past and tried to manipulate situations, which is unacceptable. Melody has proven she can rise above it all, create a successful business, and maintain her dignity. Martell, on the other hand, seems lost, stuck, and unable to articulate genuine feelings for anyone in his life right now. The way he talks about Arrion is also telling. He can't describe who she is or how she makes him feel. The only thing he mentions is that she's a good mom. That's it, nothing else. That is not a strong foundation for a healthy relationship. If you are really connected to someone, you know the little things that make them special. You can list off their qualities, their humor, their personality, the joy they bring into your life. But Martell can't do that. That's why it seems like Arrion is being used, and it's hard to watch this unfold for fans who supported him in the past. It's also important to look at the bigger picture. Martell reminisces about Melody, lights up remembering how they met, and even seems nostalgic about the happier times they shared. And here's the truth. He may have left Melody, but he still carries those memories with him. They had 4 children together, and there's love there, but the emotional connection is clearly still stronger with Melody than with Arrion. That's why the interview comes across as awkward and sad for viewers. It's a stark contrast to how he talks about his current relationship. Some fans have suggested that Martell is trying to irritate Melody through his relationship with Arrion. By having a side chick or someone to flaunt, it seems like he's attempting to get back at his ex-wife. But this tactic is failing because Melody has moved on. She has grown, she has built her business, and she has shown that she doesn't need Martell to thrive. Arrion, on the other hand, is stuck in this situation that doesn't seem healthy for her either. Martell can't articulate his feelings, and that leaves her in a vulnerable position. Now, let's talk about the audience reaction. Fans have been extremely critical of Martell. People on social media are calling out his behavior, his lack of emotional depth, and his inability to communicate like an adult in a relationship. Some tweets even went as far as to say he's trash, and that Melody has every right to move on and succeed without him. And the truth is, after watching this interview, it's hard to disagree. The lack of emotional maturity is glaring. Even Martell's own past actions weigh heavily here. His treatment of Melody during their marriage and after divorce has been a major factor in public perception. From harassment to exposing personal information, fans have witnessed patterns that make it difficult to sympathize with him. And now, seeing him in this interview struggling to articulate a simple answer about Arrion, the reality is obvious. This man is emotionally unavailable, possibly narcissistic, and completely unprepared for a real relationship. This isn't just speculation either. When you watch him talk, it's evident that he's disconnected. He lights up talking about Melody but can't say a single coherent sentence about Arrion. That tells you everything you need to know. Melody wasn't just the woman who raised his children. She was the one he connected with emotionally. That connection is still strong, and it's what Martell seems to lack with Arrion. And that's why fans feel like he's left with no real option but to stay with her because he has no other meaningful emotional outlet. At this point, you have to wonder about Arrion's position in all of this. She appears to be playing her part, possibly for clout or relevance, but it's clear that Martell isn't offering a true emotional partnership. She might think she has taken a man who is married, but in reality, she has taken a man who is emotionally unavailable and still attached to his past. This makes the relationship unbalanced, and it leaves everyone watching confused and concerned. And this is where it becomes a lesson for viewers. Martell's situation shows the dangers of being with someone for the wrong reasons. You can be physically present, but if you can't express why you love someone or why you're with them, the relationship is doomed. Emotional connection and genuine communication are essential. Melody Sherry knew this, and that's why she moved on. Martell clearly didn't learn from the past and continues to struggle in his current situation with Arrion. Fans also noted that Martell's interview was a mix of nostalgia, awkwardness, and confusion. He remembered happy times with Melody but couldn't translate that into his current life. That contrast was painful to watch. And the more you think about it, the more you realize that Martell isn't with Arrion for love. He's there because he has nowhere else to go emotionally. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the reality. It's also worth mentioning that Martell's children are part of this story. Even though he's struggling in his personal life, he still has responsibilities as a father. Melody continues to prioritize the children and her own growth, showing fans how to handle difficult situations with grace. Martell, on the other hand, is stuck in a cycle of making poor emotional choices. Watching him flounder in this interview only highlights how important it is to have self-awareness and emotional intelligence in relationships. The takeaway for viewers is clear. If you're in a relationship, you should know why you love someone and be able to express it. Martell couldn't do that, which is why the relationship with Arrion is questionable at best. Melody, on the other hand, set herself free from emotional manipulation and grew into someone who can stand on her own. That contrast is why fans